Hello and welcome to this week's debate of Goa Hai. The issue that we are debating this week is the assembly session. Goa had a 3-day assembly session. Yes, 3-day assembly session. The reason given by the government behind it is COVID. But if you look at the business, it was so humongous that on day 1, the session went on till 2 a.m. On day 2, the session went on till 4 a.m. And on day 3, there were 11 bills passed and the business got over during daytime only because the opposition walked out. Most of these bills were very crucial. Even the budget was passed by suspending the rules. Does this augur well for our democracy? I have 4 eminent panelists with me. First, I have legal expert, political analyst, lawyer, and former MLA, Radharao Gracias. Radharao, welcome.
Yeah.
Next, I have spokesperson of the Congress party, Trajan Dimelo. Trajan Bab, welcome. Then I have leader and spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi party, Valmiki Naik. And last but not the least, I have Giriraj Pai Vernekar, who is a known sympathizer of the BJP. Radhabab, I'll start with you. 3-day assembly session, such a humongous business. How do you look at it?
You see, the situation in India, all over, just Goa and India also is, when you find an excuse, you try to use that excuse to curtail every democratic norm. Right now, there is the excuse of the COVID, and therefore the government has utilized that excuse to rush through innumerable bills and business. Now, I can understand the COVID situation; we all know about it. But then where was the need for so many bills to be approved in so much of haste? See, in the first place, we did not have a full-fledged budget session. We had only vote on account in February or March last year. And then normally that has become the practice now, vote on account, followed by so-called monsoon session. Normally the session is held during the monsoons because it is said that the government officials are not as busy as they otherwise are. And therefore, the time which would otherwise be wasted is used for this purpose, for the purpose of a short session, for the purpose of the monsoon session. In our case, now, for no apparent reason other than the inability of the government to justify the bills or to stand up to the opposition challenges, it has suddenly curtailed the session to a mere 3 days without any justification whatsoever and passed through bills such as the Bhumiputra bill, which is a very travesty of the word Bhumiputra. I can understand you having such a bill, but you are deliberately insulting the people of this state, the people of this land, by giving rights to trespassers, to who encroaches, and on top of it calling them Bhumiputras. I don't think any sensible government would have used that term.
Okay, we'll go into the details of that, Radhabab, later. I straight away go to Valmiki. Valmiki, your party is not in the assembly. You are trying to be there after this election. When you look at it, an assembly session like that, how do you feel?
I think BJP has been known to run away from its responsibilities. But even going by BJP's own low standards, if you see the number of sessions and the number of days that this assembly has been in session, is really pathetic. The BJP has been in government since 2012 in Goa. In 2012, that legislative assembly met for 137 days, which is decent enough. There were 15 sessions, minimum 3 sessions a year. Decent enough, it could be better, but at least 137 days they met. This assembly from 2017 to 2022 has met for only 82 days. So look at the difference in the times that the assembly has been in session in BJP's own two terms. And out of these 82 days, the 55 days were in the first 3 years. In the last 2 years of the Pramod Sawant government, the assembly sessions have been for only 70 days. This is a complete travesty of the word legislative assembly also, because these MLAs who are supposed to be members of the legislative assembly, they're supposed to meet regularly and discuss in public in front of the people the issues of Goa and come up with legislation to solve those problems. So like I said, by their own low standards, BJP has broken even their own shameful record. So, and I think the reason is very clear. This government has nothing to show for the last 2 years for sure, and of course the previous 7, 8 years as well. So that is why they just want to barrel through. They know they have a brute majority by purchasing MLAs of Congress, and they didn't even have a mandate to form this second term, and they have nothing to show, and that is why they are hiding behind COVID and all these other reasons.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now let me go to Giriraj Pai Vernikar. Giriraj, you heard what Radharao Bab said, what Valmiki said. As a BJP sympathizer, and as a Goan, what are your feelings?
See, as you rightly said, I'm a sympathizer and not a representative. But I really like the way you introduced Radharao Bab, the political list. Basically he sympathizes with everybody I don't. So I think that may not be a very fair assessment. Secondly, he talked about why so many bills. I don't know if you have gone through those all 11 bills. Most of them are inconsequential to the extent that only some words were changed. With reference to Dadra Nagar Haveli, all those. So those bills are not of much significance. So I don't see they requiring elaborate debate. Secondly, Valmiki talks about 137 days versus the 82 days, conveniently forgetting that last 1.5 years or a little more, we've been going through COVID. I asked him a very simple question. In Delhi, in the year 2021, I think the assembly has met for 7 days, twice? One from 8th March to 12th March for 5 days, and 29th July to 30th July to. If they want to replicate the Delhi model, I think we are right there. So I don't know why is he having when they are talking about Delhi model everywhere, why is it that only conveniently in Goa that he wants to have a different model? And what has happened, I mean, even when the opposition tried to, they had the movement to oppose, like Radharao rightly said, Bhumiputra bill is a make or break bill. The opposition should have stayed instead of throwing things at the speaker. So I feel even within those 3 days, there was significant amount of time available to the opposition, and they have actually let all Goans down.
Giriraj Bab, you are saying there was enough time, opposition did not take it.
Absolutely.
Trajan Bab, how do you respond to that?
We must first of all see the main intentions of the BJP throughout India. It is not only Goa per se. The real democratic traditions have been totally murdered. They take the what do you call that, cover of some loopholes that you can have the session, you cannot have the session. The question is that all throughout, forget the COVID time, if you see ever since 2014, they have slowly been bulldozing everything by brute majority and not bothered to discuss in the right democratic spirit. We will discuss and again.
Trajan Bab, Giriraj made a very, very interesting point. He said you walked out of the house on the last day, and now you are saying that there was no discussion. How is that rational?
I'm coming to that point. On that issue, I have taken up this matter within my party. The question I'm trying to make is that this is not one instance that they have acted in the most undemocratic manner. This is not one instance. This has been happening for so long. It has happened during late Parikar's time, where they just passed a voter account, go on. Man is sitting in the ICU, government is functioning. You declare somebody as a leader, Sudhin Davlikar, to present this. Where have you heard such thing? This can happen only under the leadership of the BJP at center, which allows all hera-pheri to go on. And just because we walked out, does it give them a chance to say that they have been always functioning democratically?
Okay.
They have always tried to murder.
Okay. I'll go to Radharao Bab. Radharao Bab, how do you look at the arguments made by Giriraj?
See, what happens is walkouts is a part of democratic processes throughout the world in legislation. So you can't blame someone for walking out. Walking out by itself is a mode of protest. So when you yourself see whole problem is you have called a 3-day session. The question is, why should it be a 3-day session? You do not, if you, during those 3 days, the Congress MLAs had slept at home, as they otherwise usually do, would it enable the government to reduce the session just to 3 days? You have to stand up by the procedure. You are only trying to meet the constitutional requirement of having an assembly session at intervals of not less than 6 months. That is not what the assemblies are meant for. And the most important part of an assembly session is the question hour. When you have a long session, you get to raise questions on various issues. So these questions could not be raised because that is where MLAs get a chance to grill the ruling party. Unfortunately, again, the Congress doesn't have the type of MLAs who can grill. They can probably only grill in the kitchen. In the assembly, I don't think any of them is capable of grilling.
Fair point. I'll go to Valmiki. Again, on the similar point that Giriraj raised, you tried to point out the statistics of the Goa government. He gave you the Delhi government statistics. So how do you respond to that? You are not holding a very long session in Delhi, but you are criticizing a very short session in Goa.
Assembly website shows about 19 bills passed, at least introduced, and these are on really important topics. Of course, Bhumiputra has got the most attention, but on mining was such one of the central issues of our state for the last 10 years. Absolutely no discussion on that, and on important issues such as TCP, GST, Panchayat Raj, there was no full budget session held. So this whole 3-day session was a complete farce. And what is really sickening is that, this BJP illegitimate government was formed in the night time. The Congress MLAs were purchased at the night time. And now the budget sessions are happening in the night time. So everything is happening while Goans are asleep and the wool is being pulled over their eyes. So this is what I condemn about the BJP government.
Before I go to Trajan Bab, Giriraj, respond to both those points and a very crucial point. This session passed the budget without discussion by suspending the rules. How do you defend that?
What Radharabab said, and I think even Mr. Trajano said, I think they agree that Congress has been a failure and a colossal one. Now, if you are trying to put the Congress's failure on BJP, then I don't know. I think Congress should be blamed for it. As I said, the government was open for a discussion. It is the opposition that has walked out. And, Valmiki talking about things happening in the night, a party which started with a dharana, and, especially the theatrics centered around the night, I don't know what is his problem. And it should be, see, there is a nice saying, that you should be humble to see your mistakes, courageous to admit them, and wise enough to correct them. I think even in the aftermath of the assembly and the controversy around the Bhumiputra bill, like for example, Radharabab used a very, very insulting word to, saying there are trespassers and, encroachers who are being, called Bhumiputras. I think if anybody has seen the video statement that the CM had released, he said there are more than 180,000 houses which are there before the 1971 surveys. By calling them, and at least 1 lakh on government land, by calling them trespassers and encroachers, I think Radharabab is insulting.
Giriraj,
let me intervene.
Radhabab, I'll come to you.
Yeah,
Giriraj, my question is very simple. How can a budget be passed by suspending the rules, and how do you defend that?
See, I am not here to defend. As I said, I agree to the fact that there should have been a longer session. But all I'm trying to say is, who are speaking about it today? Congress does not want to discuss. Aam Aadmi Party does the same thing in Delhi, and suddenly you come and preach everything to the BJP in Goa. Is that what you want to do? And as I said, when the spokesperson himself says that I have taken it up with the matter with the party, I think you know where the problem lies.
Okay, Trajan Bab, so the point is very simple, that you cannot blame the BJP entirely. The blame lies with your party as well.
1 minute.
Yeah.
What Vernekar Bab is trying to say, pushing the blame on the opposition. Why did you not agree for a 10-day session? You want to just show that the Congress was part of the discussion and it has been passed. So Congress do not want a discussion which they have explained in the party. The leader, the Congress LOP leader explained that they would just say that he discussed and it was passed. The question is, if Verdegar Bab feels that the responsibility is on the opposition for not being there, he also admits that there should have been a longer session. Had it to be a longer session, definitely all the MLAs would have been there to discuss it. You are just trying to make a token of a discussion and show that there was a discussion for which the Congress
Walking out,
rightly.
Giraj, I'll come to you. Giraj, I'll come to you.
One minute.
Rajan Babu.
Walking out is a protest because the things were not started right from day one. When everybody is asking for a 10-day session after such a long break, Dr. Radharao has just now explained that walking out in a parliamentary democracy is one of the way to protest. At which time, what time, and you want them to be there at the time of the debate. I had also questioned, but they have explained to say that they would have just made us bakras there, saying that we had discussed it and we have passed it.
Okay.
So we did not want to be such a.
Okay.
Position.
Giriraj, I'll come to you. Radhabab, 2 points. Number one, you wanted to respond to Giriraj, you can do that. The second point is passing the budget by suspending the rules, and as far as the Bhumiputra bill is concerned, government agreeing to reintroduce it. Has such a thing happened in the past?
See, what happens now, in the first place, I will respond to what Giriraj had said. You see, as far as this bill is concerned, it is not to regularize constructions which are shown in the survey records, because under the law, any construction shown in the survey records is already legal. There's no question of legalizing it, because the moment someone lodges a complaint, you produce the survey records to show that my structure existed before 71. Therefore, there's no question of legalizing that which is already legal. This bill is introduced to legalize illegal occupants so that BJP gets votes during the coming election. That is the purpose. Number one. Number two, now we are told that we know that the assembly session, when you see normal time was from 11 to 5. It went on to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and post midnight till 2 o'clock. Now these assembly sessions are not meant only for the MLAs. They are being televised and everybody is watching it. And if I have to watch a football match, I know the match started 7 o'clock and it gets over at 9 o'clock. Your match goes on past midnight. Do you expect people to be waking up and looking at your session all the time? We as people have a right to know what time the session will begin, what time the session, so that I can watch it. That's why it is being televised. You have absolutely no care for the public who watch the sessions. Do you expect us to wait till midnight and beyond to watch your session? What does the Chief Minister have to say on this? Now, on the Bhumiputra part, you see, a legislative bill has been passed already. Now, that is why we needed a longer session where there could have been thorough debate. You see, bills are debated. MLAs from the opposition or from any side raise valid points, and then the government decides whether you should go ahead with the bill or refer it to a select committee or defer the discussion so that more time is obtained, more responses are obtained, and accordingly the bill is modified, moderated, or amended. But in this case, you rush through the bill, and after the bill is passed, the people are objecting because the people had no right to object before the bill. If the bill was known well in advance and there was sufficient time, there would have been objection before. Now it is a situation created by the government itself, by its gross neglect, by its gross refusal to see public needs and rushing through a bill. And now the government is forced to retract. This is something of the government's own making.
Okay. Valmiki, on those 2 points, passing the budget without discussion, and secondly, reintroducing a bill that is already passed in the assembly awaiting governor's assent. How do you respond to both of them?
First of all, this government has kicked the can down the road, like they say, on the budget since February now. And that is the reason for that is BJP is a party that came into power with a public debt of 6,000 crores, which is now just 9 years later, they've built it up to 20,000 crores almost and counting. So that is what they don't want to bring in front of the people, that they have not succeeded in generating any kind of revenue. and they're just taking loans and loans and loans to feed the greed of all the Congress MLAs that they have purchased. So this is the root of the issue actually. Secondly, on the Bhumiputra bill, I just want to say that land rights is one of the most important issues in front of Goans today, and we would have supported any legislation that genuinely provided Goans that right. But the Bhumiputra bill itself is such a big fraud because there is no intent of the BJP to actually provide the rights to the Goans. This is just an election stunt, and the reason I'll tell you why is that everybody is focusing on the word Bhumiputra. Nobody is focusing on the word Adhikarini. The name of the bill is Bhumiputra Adhikarini. I want to focus on Adhikarini. Adhikarini means authority. Which is the authority that is being created by this bill? There is no authority. It is the same talatis, mamlatdars and collectors who are dealing with 25,000 land rights cases for the past decades. How is the, like, for example, when you pass a Lok Ayukta bill, it created a new entity with its own resources, with its own staff, with its own rules and regulations. This Adhikarini bill is a complete fraud. It is just like a red herring thrown into the discussion before 6 months before elections. And there are 25,000 cases I told you that are pending under Agricultural Tenancy Act, under Munkar Act, under Alvara, under Mayan Evacuee, under forest rights, under regularization of illegal structures. So the same people who have not been able to provide rights on 25,000 cases for the so many decades are going to provide land rights to 1 lakh as per Giriraj Varanekar. This is the biggest fraud. And I say it is an election stunt because this is being done just 6 months before the elections, and a time limit of 6 months is being given to give the applications. So BJP is going to go door to door and ask for applications and say that vote for us, we're going to give you the rights to your land. And after that, everybody has seen, all legal experts have opined that this bill will not stand in its feet for a minute in any court. After elections, this bill is going to fall flat on its face. And BJP is going to use this as an election stunt.
Valmiki Bhattakan, Rajan Babu, you wanted to make, then I'll go final to Giriraj. Yeah.
See, I think Valmiki is just brushing the subject and going away saying it's a political stunt. I am on record on the first day. This is the biggest political jumla. You can keep on arguing till the crows turn white. They have scored a political masterstroke by creating a hope among the encroachers that we want to regulate, and these are the people who are opposing. Nobody can believe that this bill will ever come and be implemented. We know the 15 lakh Jumla in 2014. Again, they said it is Jumla and people voted them. So the question is, it is absolutely a political gimmick. Keep on arguing legalities has no meaning. Politically, they have scored a masterstroke, and I have said it is going to have political implications at the coming assembly election.
Giriraj, final words. 2 points. Don't you agree?
I just want to
know. Yeah, Giriraj, just 2 points. Just 2 points.
Yeah.
You make your point, no problem. From my side, just 2 points. Number one, don't you agree that this bill is a badly drafted legislation? And that is the reason even the government had to say, okay, give us suggestions, we will reintroduce it. Number two, don't you agree that we are going ahead with our daily routines post this second wave? Everything is happening, party functions, political functions. But when it comes to assembly, we say that COVID. Don't you think on these 2 counts at least, the government needs to be more aware and sensitive?
No, I'll come to your questions first. When you talked about COVID, and if you recall at the national level, when Bihar elections were due, BJP was the first political party that actually went to the election commission and said that let allow us a virtual, election. It was this same opposition party that went and said that people connect is important. In West Bengal, they tried to put it up because, nobody else was getting the numbers. So that is the first thing. I mean, when it comes to COVID, the doublespeak of the opposition is a classic one. The second point that you asked about is whether the bill is badly worded one. Absolutely, there is no doubt on that. And as I said, the problem with the bill today is not the bill itself. It is the word Bhumiputra. It shouldn't have been introduced. And I think the government was so quick enough to say that the word will be dropped. See, Rajano Bab had said a few things at the start itself, but I had avoided going into what he was saying since 2014. This is the central government today is led by a prime minister, not an accidental prime
Giriraj,
minister.
you're just digressing. Can you please tell me which authority is being created by this bill? Tell me which authority is being created.
I was very
How will
patient.
the
This is
Talati,
not your-
Mamlatdar and
This is
collector
not
who
your
have not
dharna
been
protest.
able to
I will come to
solve
you. I will
25,000
come to
cases?
you.
You're saying
I
1 lakh,
will-
1 lakh goans, 1 lakh
Valmiki, I will
goans.
come to
What
you.
about the 25,000 goans who are languishing for the last 60 years?
Valmiki, I will
What
come
about
to
them?
you. I
No,
will
you
come
have
to
been in
you.
power for 10 years. You answer this
I will
question,
come to
please.
you. I will come to you. I will come to you. I have a special, even a Chinese proverb for you. Since you said, I'll tell you also. No, don't worry. So what I'm trying to tell Mr. Trojano is that very simple, that this government has been in majority. What is your problem if majority takes decisions? That is how the constitution is. Why do you look for majority? Just 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Radharabab said that, walking out is a way of protest, but walking out is actually also escape route of not taking a stand. If the discussion was not allowed, Congress or opposition parties should have made their stand clear. They could have voted against the bill. But the problem is, like Prajanobab said, that this is a jumla to attract vote bank. I think they have also realized that whether this is a jumla or no, this is going to work against them.
Okay.
And
Okay.
as far as last question on up, last points on up.
Yeah.
Valmiki talks about supporting the bill. Where
I don't understand
last
Chinese,
election
Giriraj.
you went,
You'll have to speak
you
in
said
English.
we could have supported. People rejected you last time. Out of 39 seats you contested, 38 you ran a good campaign. 38 you lost deposit. There is a Chinese proverb: they won all the battles. We had the best songs. Your campaign is good, but people have shown you. So the legislature is supreme. The bills will be passed in the assembly and not in your mohalla.
I
Okay.
beg to differ, Giriraj.
Okay,
The people are
Giriraj,
supreme.
Giriraj, point taken.
The
Giriraj,
people
point
are
taken.
supreme, and they will show the BJP its place
Pramod
in this
Bab,
election.
Pramod Bab, 1 minute.
Tajan Bhai,
Hello.
I'm completely out of time. 5 seconds.
See, ultimately the BJP has succeeded in deviating from the main issue that is burning Goa. The three linear projects, the COVID. Everybody has forgotten that.
Okay.
Which is
Okay.
actually
Okay, I'm completely out of time, but I think the crux of the issue, the crux of the matter is very, very simple. Ultimately, when we talk about assembly, there needs to be a longer session. I think everybody agrees that. And point two, we cannot have badly drafted legislations getting passed and then retracted after public uproar. I think everybody on this panel, irrespective of their political affiliations, will at least agree on that. Giriraj, Valmiki, Radhabab, Rajan Bab, thanks a lot for being there and participating in this debate. Thanks a lot for watching this broadcast. Keep watching. Go ahead.